Hi everyone, this is Esateys.
And this is Rafael. And welcome back to our second episode, the 5 essential keys to getting relationship right. Where did I leave the manual? It's clear I didn't bring it to this course.
I tell you what, everyone. Well, first of all, I wanted to... You want me to get right into the right part? Or do you just want me to talk about...
How are you doing? Tell everybody what just happened when we started this podcast.
We've been having a time getting this particular session going because we've had like 5 or 6 beginning takes, meaning that because we're recording it and there's certain things that have to be a certain way, like the lights have to be a certain way and all these things, it has not been as easy as it could have been.
And I'm using a different software.
And we're in a different location than we were last time. So everything has been interesting. But you know what's great about that? This is the test of relationship. This is the test that we go through every moment of every day when we're with someone or even when we aren't. So when we're with someone that we just really love and want to be with, it doesn't mean that we have it any easier. In fact, sometimes it's harder. So we've been back and forth and doing all these things that we've been doing. And what I find really fascinating about that is this happens seemingly every time. Because I want things to be ready and let's go. And he's going, okay, I'll have it all ready. And then I get in there and 45 minutes later, we still haven't done it. So I'm just giving some personal laundry out here today so everybody can see that the perfect relationship is a perception and you're still going to go through stuff, but that doesn't really have anything to do with anything. It has to do with how you are choosing to be internally, even if you're saying how you feel. It's when you start blaming that it becomes difficult. And even if you're calling a spade, that other person may be thinking of it like it is a blame, but that has to do with the way they're perceiving it.
And
Does that make sense?
Yes, and what's really cool about what you just said is about the perception part. The perception part, from my perspective, is I got this whole thing ready, put the cameras up, did everything. We were essentially ready to go, except for some minor tweaks, which between both of us, I saw that face. Between both of us was not exactly the way we wanted it. So it's our expectations about what's going to happen that creates all the controversy, all the conflict. Is that this just happened? We actually had a lot of fun doing that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah,
we had a few laughs, right?
We did.
If you heard some of those outtakes, you would have been laughing too.
We probably should have made this thing about the outtakes because it shows you how a relationship really works. I mean, you probably know that because you've been in some kind of relationship, most likely, if you were here. You know what we didn't think about is the microphones. Are we using these microphones?
Yeah, we are. They're working.
Oh, okay.
I tested them.
Okay, well, good. And in addition to that, just so you know, we're in full disclosure. We're going to be totally transparent here. I'm kind of a high maintenance girl, and so we're sitting here and we're about ready to go, and I just ask him, do you have any lotion? You know, my hands were feeling like cardboard.
This is after we got in and we got the camera situated and the microphone situated.
But I knew I couldn't really record without getting, something on my hands. And then we were about to start, and I realized, I'm really thirsty. Do you have any water? And then, we had to go into that. So there were a few things going on, and this is what happens in our day-to-day world. This whole thing about where did I leave the manual? The truth is there is no real manual. There are things that we can bring together that will help us have guidelines, and that's what a big part of the purpose of this podcast is. It's about having fun, but it's also about understanding that there's certain ways that you can live life and you can deal with it from a different perspective than you might otherwise deal with it. So when we get these 5 essential keys to getting relationship right, just know right off the bat there is no right. So I don't know why we came up with that title anyway. But what it is that we can do is that we can look at what's happening in a relationship and we can be with what is in a different way. This is where the whole thing about being responsible and about being, really, really honest and transparent with yourself, regardless of what it is that's going on. But it's not about blaming the person.
No, for sure. And actually, one of the reasons I came up with this, or I added the "Where did I leave the manual?" It kind of reminded me, and those of you who have children will understand this. You give birth, you're in love, you have a really extraordinary birth experience, etc. And then all of a sudden you go home and you're with the baby, and nobody told you how to do it, and you have to figure it all out because there is no manual. Well, relationships are exactly the same. And if we don't beat ourselves up and just understand that we're doing the best we can, that is a key that we really, really need to really comprehend, that whatever our expectations are, they'll never get met no matter what.
Well, these keys that we're going to speak about today are very, very important, because all of the things that you just said, that's like really true. But if you don't have awareness, it's like you don't even know this stuff is going on. I could not tell you how many people I have worked with and I have coached that, and I don't mean this to sound sexist, but it's usually the man that says, "What happened? I don't even know what the problem is. I don't know why she feels this way, or why she left, or why any of these things happen." I mean, guys frequently don't have that astute awareness as quickly as women do. And whether that's because women are programmed to be able to hear the children, or, whatever it is, the bottom line is that they will frequently have a different perception because they never even knew anything was happening. I can remember one couple in particular where they came to me, and he went to work, and when he came home, she was packed and completely gone. And he went, "I have not a clue why she left." And yet in her mind, for years, several years, she'd been saying, in the best way she knew how, "I'm not happy, this isn't working for me." But he wasn't hearing, and he didn't have that awareness. So it was a really, really traumatic experience. So the first key is awareness. Be conscious of what the other person is saying, what it is that they're doing, how it is that they're feeling. Be present. Be present with yourself so you know how you're feeling and what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're hearing from your partner. And if each person really does that, then you have an awareness of at least a clue what's going on. And if you don't know exactly what's going on, ask. Say, "I have this feeling, that you are
Pissed.
feeling that, pissed, or I have a feeling that there's a distance between us, and I don't know what's going on. Can you help me better understand that?" And when you approach someone like that, then they can take a moment, because many times these really subconscious reactions come from a place of wanting to be safe. So, for example, a woman might just shut down. That's a pretty frequent thing that happens. A man will raise his voice, or one of the partners will raise their voice, and the other person goes and gets little and shuts down and just doesn't want to deal, just backs away emotionally, mentally, physically. And then they get in bed that night, and the person who was yelling, who feels all better because they got rid of their stuff, is now laying in bed and asking the partner, "Well, how about it, baby?" And the other person's going, "Are you kidding me? Do you remember that you just yelled at me?" or whatever. And frequently people won't even be that open with what it is that's going on with them. A, they may not know, and B, they're afraid to say something because that's going to make them even madder, because many people immediately go to defense. So if you say, "Well, when I heard your voice raised today, I felt a certain level of, like attack. I didn't feel good. I just wanted to run away." And the partner will say, "Well, yeah, but remember, you did this and you did this." And then it gets into this whole thing that's doesn't ever get anybody what it is that they want. So awareness is a very, very key piece. And of course, communication about that is important, what we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Just to finish on the awareness piece, one of the things I always like to look at is, or talk about, is closing the loop, the closing of the feedback loop of understanding what the other person is thinking or maybe feeling when you say something. And I know that I'm not really that great about it because I'm like, I'm right, I'm this, I'm that. And it's really challenging to be open to what is going on the other side. So there's a feedback and being aware of that. So if you say something that, even if unintentional, hurts someone's feelings and you really don't want to hurt their feelings, then that can be addressed. But you have to have the awareness in that loop, that what I call this feedback loop, so to constantly be getting how it's being received and how you're doing. So it's a feedback of the other person and your own into, it's like putting all this data into your computer and being aware of the result.
And once you have the awareness and you've got this feedback loop in order, what's important is that you suddenly have this awareness something's going on. The next piece that's very important is you have to have commitment to have a different result occur in your life. So you have the awareness, but the commitment to follow through and clean up, if you will, what it is that's going on is very critical. And that can only happen if you have a clear understanding about what you want in the relationship. And so if you're having a thought, well, they did it and whatever, and there's still blame and stuff going on, then what occurs is that you don't have a commitment to really have the relationship be a 50-50 kind of deal. It means that it means that you have to be committed to follow through, even if the other person doesn't or won't, or perhaps they're the ones that are too injured or they're not feeling safe enough. It's usually about safety, and therefore you get to hold the ball and follow through if the other person isn't doing that automatically. And it's not like, well, I'm just gonna wait until he gets it. No, that is not gonna work. That is not the best thing to do. You be committed to making sure that that issue is resolved. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I want to ask you a question. Can you clarify the difference, if there is any, when you talk about commitment? Is it commitment to the relationship working? Is it commitment to awareness so that the relationship can be better? What is the commitment that you talk about? Is it a personal one or is it about the relationship?
Yes.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
It is a commitment to yourself first. And the commitment to yourself is that you have to make a very conscious awareness decision about what do you really want. If you really want, for lack of a better term, the love inside of you, if you want to feel good, is another way of putting it. You want to feel good about yourself, the way you be, what you say, all of those kinds of things, then the commitment is to you making sure that you're feeling the way that you want to feel. So once you're really clear that you want the love, or you want peace, or you want the flow, or you want copacetic, or whatever it is that you say that you want, well, that is something that is going to be inspiring you to take the next step. And so the next step is to be committed to the relationship, and the relationship then means that you are going to then step out of perhaps your comfort zone and be willing to work with the person that is, that you got this thing going with. So does that answer that question?
Yes, it does. It's good. Because sometimes they really get blurred. Those distinctions get blurred, but they're really the same thing, and yet they're not.
Yeah. So the third one is...
This is the biggie.
It's always about you. Or in this case, it's always about me. And...
I wish you would remember that.
Oh, yeah. So the bottom line to this is that whatever is going on emanates from within ourselves. And there's what we call the inside business and the outside business. The inside business is where we create our life from. It's the internal landscape of what we think, feel, say, do. And all of that occurs because of the programs and the beliefs that we've had from from childhood, from birth, and even depending upon your belief systems, back in your DNA from before it is that you even came into being an infant. Therefore, what is important about It's All About You is to really, it's like accepting the responsibility that you are the one who gets to decide how they want to be in their life and how they want to be with their partner. And what that means is, if you really get that that person is a mirror to you, meaning that they're showing you what it is that is not really making you happy because there's a part of you that is uncomfortable with that for whatever your reasons are, then what occurs is that when you recognize it's yourself, then there's no point and no need to blame anyone else. It's not over there, it's over here. What kind of belief system do you have that's causing you to think that you have nothing to do with that? People don't do things to us. We have things occur and we determine how we want to be with that. And you'll notice that when you're in a really good mood, what other people do is, like whatever. And if you are kind of down and out and you're feeling negative and you don't think things are going your way, then pretty soon, pretty much everything that occurs is their fault or somebody's fault. I mean, today is a good example between us. We happen to both be in a really awesome place today. And because of that, when all this was going on, it's like, whatever, we made fun out of it, and he didn't get triggered about the things that I was asking for, the water, the lotion, of make this right, fix this light, whatever. Instead, he said, yes, dear, anything else I can get you? He was making fun about it, but we continued to really have a progressive experience occur when it came to actually getting this thing off and running. So we're off and running. So remember that the third one, it's all about me. Or you can say it's all about you, but say it's all about me, because then you won't be trying to blame your other person.
And one way to look at this, which has really helped me, is that anything that I perceive, whether I feel insulted or I feel attacked or whatever, is always my perception. And that perception is colored by, and in fact is run by, the lenses that we're seeing things at. So like what Esateys was saying, if you're feeling in a good mood, that doesn't mean anything. But if you're in a little grumpy mood and you're not in such a great place, then the lens that you're seeing things through are going to be tainted towards the negative, and then and that's when this happens. So we'll have a lot more to say about It's All About You. This is probably, in my view, the most important piece of our work and our teachings, and we'll be talking about this because no matter what, it is the foundation, bottom rock of what we talk about.
And so the fourth step is...
You're doing really good on the outline. That's awesome. I love you.
I'm just amazing. So the fourth step is the communication piece. Communication is king. I would have said queen, but he wrote it, so it's king. Communication is king. The truth is, it is one of the very most important things that's essential in relationship. In fact, I would say that 99.9% of the people that I coach or I work with in retreats or in whatever way that I'm working with them, it's about communication. I'm working with two people right now. It happens to be a father and a son, and I'm telling you, they're like, they don't have a clue what the other one is really saying because they're not skilled at communicating about what it is that's going on with them. And they somehow think that the other person's psychic, or they expect. I'm sorry, I just faded away into being in a relationship once, and this was just so good. I could remember, sometimes I take these side roads, and what occurred is I expected that person to know what it was that I wanted. Have you ever done that? I don't know, maybe women do this more than men, I'm not sure, but I know that, and this was pretty many years ago, but I have to be in full disclosure. I would get so upset if I had to tell them what I wanted. And of course, they didn't have a clue. So they didn't do what it was that I said that I wanted. And if I told them what I wanted, then it didn't count. It wasn't enough. Because they were only doing it because I said I wanted it done. It's not because they really wanted to do it. It's because they're just trying to pacify me or, get me to be still or whatever the case may be. So that is a myth. Someday we'll talk more about that because that's an important one. We expect somebody else to just read our minds, and then we get upset when we tell them and then they do it because that's what we really wanted, and then it's their fault for doing that too.
Or the other part is, and this happens a lot with women to men, they expect us to do something and they expect us to read their minds, which doesn't really happen so readily without the communication.
Well, I was really referring to women being that way with men when I was just giving that example.
I just want to make it clear.
Well, because I can only speak from where it is that I come, and I'm the one who was in that relationship, and I remember that more than one relationship, I have to admit, is that it was just something that it didn't work out well. Didn't work out well because when you are not communicating well, then you are not going to have the results that you want in the relationship. So we're going to do probably a whole show on this because communication is lengthy, it's deep, it's very intricate. And because when we communicate, we have to be present, and we have to be honest, and we have to speak clearly and succinctly about what's going on at the best level that we can. And we have to do some things that are very important, one of which is to completely eliminate the word you. Because when it's about, you said that, you made me do this, you, and what happens is all that blame and all that energy is going out on the other person, which is relieving us of the responsibility of anything. And when we do that other person's feeling attacked, and they don't feel like they're safe, and they don't get it, and all of those other things occur, when in fact it was about us to begin with. So here's the key. Somebody may do something or may say something, and if you take them out of the picture and you look at what it is that they said or what it is that they did, that's where the trigger is. And parents, if parents would learn this, it would be really, really helpful, because they frequently will literally destroy a child's self-confidence and their ability to be in life as a happy camper, because they say, you're such a bad kid because you didn't clean your room, and you're never going to make yourself be worthy in life, or whatever. And that wasn't really the case. It's a matter of that when chores aren't done, then if parents got really clean, they'd say, look, I feel like I need to have a clean house. And when you don't clean your room, then I don't feel good. So what I really want is for you to keep your room clean. And there's two things about that. One, I'm going to feel good, which means I'm going to be a happier mom. And secondly, which means your life will be easier. And secondly, you're going to learn how to be responsible and capable, and you're going to know how to be in the world as someone who is reliable and able to take care of themselves and perhaps children of your own when you have it. I don't know very many people that speak that way with their children, but it's an interesting option for you to consider. And
we probably will do another show on just communication with children, because we get asked about that a lot.
So,
one more thing on the communication. The one thing that I didn't hear you say is that a big piece of communication is listening. It's not what you just say. It's hearing what the other person is saying and being able to take that back.
That is really true, and you can't you cannot put yourself in a position where you're just constantly giving the words. You have to be able to hear what the other person is saying. And I said this a little earlier when we were talking about one of those things. And what that really means is that if you are constantly speaking, and you're not having it's back to the awareness. You have to have the awareness. You don't have awareness if you're not listening. You have to listen to what it is that the other person is saying. You need to watch what their face is saying, what their expressions are telling you, what their body language, if they're like this, or if they're very intense with their eyes, or if they're open and they're, fun, whatever it is, they're going to tell you what it is that's going on with them just by their body language, for one thing, and also by what it is that you hear. And when we speak about the communication thing, we'll speak more about that. So, you want to say anything else?
No, that's good.
Okay.
Number 4.
No, 5. We actually have 6 there. You realize that? We have awareness, commitment. It's all about you. Communication is king. So you better change the name of this thing to 6 swings, or I'll skip the last one.
The last one's a bonus.
Okay, bonus, 5 plus bonus. Okay, so the 5th one is to be real and be really transparent. And that's something that is not easy for the majority of people to do. The truth is, it's not easy all the time for me to do when I am like on camera or whatever, or when I'm on stage. Sometimes on stage I can do it. But the bottom line is that there's a certain way that you're supposed to do these things. And I decided that I am going to be myself. And one of my great inspirations is that song, This Is Me, from Greatest Showman. And if you haven't listened to it, please go listen to it, because it's awesome, and it tells the truth about what it is that we have the ability to how to live our lives. I just love that song. And so when we are ourselves, then everybody else starts to have a sense that it's okay for them to be themselves. And some people, when I've said that to them, they go, oh no, you don't understand. Everybody be breaking the law. There'd be none of this and none of that. And I say that if we did that, there'd probably be a reorganization of things in the world for a bit. On the other hand, when people don't feel pressured and they don't feel attacked and they don't feel like they can't be themselves, then they'll stop putting on these false airs, or they'll stop trying to get back at people through shootings and all those other things that occur, because they get to be themselves. Who we are is not a violent, nasty, vile kind of person. By nature, we're really, very kind, loving people. And that in your heart of hearts, you've got all this other stuff gurgling. And yes, you are a piece of that unhappy, attacking, sarcastic kind of thing. But where do you think that came from? It's because we have a feeling in our world that we can't be ourselves. And so we're constantly trying to fit in the box of what our mother said, our father said, society says, the internet says, our grandparents said.
And in the context of relationship, where we're trying to create a close, intimate, if you will, or real commonality and closeness, if we can't be who we are, our partner will never know who we are. And in fact, most of the time it's because we don't know who we are, but that's a whole nother story. But the piece that's just so clear to me is that we have to be so honest with our partner that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that is really, really true. And when you start practicing that and you find out that nobody shoots you dead in that moment, or your partner doesn't walk out the door or whatever, that's going to make a really, really big difference. It's going to make a really big difference. And the most important difference it'll make is you're going to feel more authentic in yourself. And being authentic is one of the number one things to experiencing joy. It's just a scary thing because we are all brought up to live within the realms of the mold of whoever made that mold. And it's dangerous.
that authenticity will just open the other person's heart because they feel you being present and being real with them. And that will just create wonders in the whole relationship.
So a bonus one, which really I feel would have ideally been the first one, is understanding why you're in a relationship. So what I would like to do is have you think of this first and then go into the awareness and the commitment and the always about you and being real and what was the one we just spoke about?
Communication.
Okay, cheat. Oh, communication. Okay. At any rate, good thing we have these 5 lines for our outline. That's it. So, because he knows me and he knows that I just travel to different places and talk about a lot of fun stuff. Okay, so the last one is the understanding why you want to be in a relationship.
What do you expect from that relationship? What do you want to get out of it?
Yeah, what are you there for? And I can tell you that the majority of people that are in a relationship are in relationship because they're trying to get a sense of fulfillment. They're trying to get a sense of safety. They're trying to get a sense of being loved. And they're trying to fulfill the illusion that they aren't lovable. And what they usually do, because they're not authentic and they don't feel like they're really okay, then they start pretending to be a certain way, which isn't true for them. And therefore, they are never getting what it is that they really want anyway. So understanding why you want a relationship is very important. And since we know it's all about me, it's really important to look at what is it that me wants. And it doesn't mean that it's not okay to have all of those things. It's just that when you really know that and it isn't working, you're going to be able to take a look at where you have not been really fulfilling things. Have you not been aware? Have you not been being authentic? Have you not been communicating clearly? What all those things that we just spoke about. You can pretty much depend on one or more of those things being out of sync. So the ultimate thing about this is that you be in a relationship because you are so filled with the love of who you are. You are so filled with the excitement and the adventure of life that you don't need anything, but you want to be with somebody to share and to augment your life and theirs. But you're not pulling on each other and trying to get yourself to be filled up. When somebody says, you complete me, I want to go, no, be complete and share your completeness with another complete person, and then you're augmented. But when you're going to be with the thought process that you need to be with someone because you're not okay the way you are, if you don't have enough self-love, enough self-respect, if you don't have enough self-discipline, if you don't have enough of any of these kinds of things in your core, then what occurs is that partner will not be able to fulfill that for you because they can only show you what you are. And that is a really, really important key. So to determine for yourself, what am I looking for? What am I trying to get out of relationship?
And I went through this a while ago, and really it made a huge difference for me when I looked at it like this. If I'm in a relationship because I want someone to love me, I want someone to take care of me, even though I would never say that, but whatever the real reasons are, I'm pulling energy from the other person to me. And the shift that I made with you, which has been huge, is how all I want to do is give. I want to give to you, and I know that whatever it is will come back. And shifting from expectation to giving has made a huge, huge difference. Do you feel that?
I do. I do feel that that's true, and I do feel that you've made some serious shifts in that regard. And it's also important to be conscious when you're giving that you are not giving with that subconscious thought that, okay, if I'm just like really nice to them all the time and I give them everything they want and all that, then they're going to really be nice to me and give me what it is that I feel like I'm wanting.
Right. So what we'll talk about again and later in the shows is about giving in relationships, giving from overflow. So when you're in overflow, when you feel really good about yourself, when your vibration is high, when you just are feeling the love of life, it's just easy to give. You can't give if you don't have anything in there to give.
That's right. It's like trying to buy a company when you have no money in your bank account. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So,
well, we hope you enjoyed those six points. You want to just repeat them? Just give a summary. Just
go ahead.
Okay. So the 6 points, because I have the cheat list here, is awareness, commitment. It's always about you. Communication is king. Being real and transparent, and understanding why you want to be in a relationship in the first place. Again, right? Awesome. Okay, I had some help. Okay, we'll be right back right after this break, and we're going to be going into the section Ask E, where we've received a bunch of questions from people, and to Ask E, we encourage you to give us your questions, email them, put them in the comments. But we have a couple that we've already received after our first podcast, and we'll be addressing those shortly. So we'll be right back. Now we can go right to they told us to do that. Okay, so welcome back. And now we're going to start the Ask E segment, where you can ask anything related to relationships or otherwise that you have on your mind that you would like some clarity. So one of the things that, one of the questions we got, I'm just reading it here. We had some people over, and this person was telling us that she just could not get that she was responsible or believe that she had anything to do with the way her partner was acting, and she just couldn't understand it. It was just like it was just like they were like this. Can you address, maybe some things that she could think about to be able to help her get back on track and see it in a more productive light?
Well, this usually occurs when we're new at self-responsibility and recognizing that we're very powerful and we can create literally anything, and we do. And we may or may not know that. And when we move over into the understanding that life is happening because of our perception, and our perception is what is creating our happy, sad, mad, or glad, then things shift a lot. So when a person doesn't feel like they have anything to do with what's going on in the relationship, it means that they're not in an understanding that they are responsible for what goes on in their life, and they're also not clear that it's not about them, it's about what's going on over here. So when somebody communicates that somebody else is the problem, first of all, they're blaming, and if you're blaming, you're certainly not in self-responsibility. And most people don't want to take responsibility because they feel on a very deep level that what they feel is they feel guilty. They feel guilty because if I accept that, then I have to look at pieces of myself that I judge, and if I judge it, other people are going to judge it, and if other people judge it, then they're not going to like me, and if they don't like me, that means that probably nobody's going to like me or love me, and if I'm not loved and lovable, then what's going to happen to me? I'll be alone, and if I'm alone, I don't know that I could take care of myself, and if I can't take care of myself, what's going to happen? I'll be out on the street, and if I'm out on the street, I'm probably just going to die. And as extreme as that may seem, the subconscious mind that is based on survival really thinks that way under the covers, if you will.
Because that's a core. It's a core necessity or a core.
It's a survival skill, and it's a core belief system that we have, and it is it's there because it helps keep us alive. So when it goes kind of down the rabbit hole, then who wants to go there? You know, if I accept responsibility and it's my fault, then then the thought process goes down. So it's really about understanding that it is always about us, and we can handle it being about us when we have a higher level of self-confidence and self-esteem. And that's one of the things that when I'm working with people is I really help them recognize that it's not about it's not so much even that it's about over there. It's that who am I and what's great about me, because we don't know what's great about us. And when we do say that, then we say, oh, they're egomaniacs, and you know they're really what's the word that they use? When
narcissistic.
Well, yeah, that one too. So at any rate, that's I would tell you, whomever it is that wrote that I invite you to really look at the kind of thing that the person is reflecting to you and ask yourself where it is that you got that from. So that's a really, really important thing.
So really what you're saying is it's a love of self issue. Underlying everything, it's about loving yourself and being okay with yourself no matter what that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. Thank you. I hope that helped. Another question we got is, what is the one piece of advice you would give to your brother or your sister about relationships?
Always, 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 always be yourself. Be authentic. Be you. Because when you start out in life, in any area of life, especially relationships, and you aren't authentic and you are pretending that you're someone else, it gets old really fast and you can't remember how you're supposed to be. It's like somebody who lies. They start out lying and pretty soon they can't remember the lie that they told. So they're telling more lies to cover up the first lie, when in reality they're a complete mess because they are now confused about what's true and what isn't. And the same thing happens with our own self-esteem and our own sense of self-love, if you will. And because of that, we start making stuff up and we model people we don't even know. We think that's cool, so we be like them, especially the kids today. They will just find somebody who looks popular and they'll start being like them. And they don't even know whom it is that they are themselves. And so because they don't, they start modeling other people. And sometimes modeling other people is not such a really great thing. So be authentic, be you. Take time to be with yourself and determine what it is that you like. What is it that you don't like? What it is it that you would be paid money for to do all of your life because that brings you joy? What's true in you?
So would you say that, because what came to me as you were just speaking that, is if you're not authentic, if you're not real, if you can't be that way, then really what that is a sign of you don't know who you are. So that should be the tip off then, that that is a symptom of a bigger issue within yourself to look at and address.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was very powerful, actually. Cool. Okay, we have time for one more quick question. And this person wrote in, I've been single for a long time. How come I can't get a relationship and I really want one? What would you say to her?
I would say that whenever we need something, we will rarely get it. And if we do, it doesn't work out. It's about what I was speaking about earlier. We cannot expect to pull a relationship in when it's all about what we need. And when we're looking at it that way, because part of the reason that we're even on this planet is to learn how amazing we are and how capable we are. If you're constantly looking for somebody else to make that so for you, then you will be unable to really fulfill a very lasting or whatever kind of relationship, because it takes you away from the truth of whom it is that you really are, completely capable. And therefore, if you really, really, really want a relationship, then you are probably really, really, really in need of something else that you think relationship is going to support you with or fulfill that empty hole for you. So what I would do is I would really do a lot of introspection and look at what is it that I feel I need to feel whole or feel complete or feel loved or feel lovable, because there's something in there. And the moment that you can see that, even if it's not completely cleaned up, then a relationship can come and be very supportive for you. But remember that relationships are personal development on steroids. They're here to help you really know who you are and how magnificent you truly are.
So the lack of a relationship is really telling you where you're starting from on the personal development scale, so to speak.
A lot of times that's very true. On the other hand, you can become so connected and so self-reliant and so whatever that your whole life is just about filling up and perhaps giving to, a million people, and not wanting to take the time and the energy to focus on one. You're really working with the masses, if you will.
In the course of our work, I've heard so many women say, women in particular, once they stopped looking to have one, stopped wanting to have one, and just were working on themselves, that perfect relationship would just manifest, would just show up, and that was never really a concern. So that was the way out. That was the way into the relationship, by letting go of it.
Yes, and that's true in other areas of our life as well. It's like if we are trying to get something, we end up cutting off the energy of receiving it. So that's an important piece.
Cool. Well, okay, thank you. Those are I really appreciate those answers, and I'm sure those people will as well. So if you have any questions, email esateys@esateys.com. There will be a link. There'll be the email address will be on the show notes that'll follow this. And we'd love to hear you. Leave a comment, and please subscribe. Make sure you subscribe so you can hear. You can get our future podcasts. We'll be doing them once a week, and they'll be coming your way. And we happen to have an enormous amount of fun doing them. So please join us. And the last thing that we're going to leave you with today is our segment of Living in the World of Possibility segment. And we have a question. Esateys will give you a question and talk about why this is so important.
Okay. So the question for today, and this is a rhetorical question, it's not about you coming up with an answer. It's not about figuring out any kind of answer at all. It is really, truly about just setting the thought into process, into the air, if you will, out into the universe, and allow the mind, like a Google search machine, rush out there and find the different kinds of answers that will be best supportive of what it is that you are asking. Because the mind is always thinking, being, doing, whatever. So how about you determining what you're having your mind think about? And that's part of what this is about. It really teaches you how to monitor your thoughts. So the question for today is, what if I were willing to really be myself? What if I was really willing to be myself? And what's fun about that is you will become more conscious of when you aren't being yourself. And you can go, wow, that was interesting. I can see. Or when you say something that wasn't what you were really thinking. Or when you do something that you really didn't want to do. That happens a lot. Especially around holidays and birthdays and all of those other kinds of days. We we feel a certain level of obligation. Oh my gosh, they're my family. Oh my gosh, whatever your thought is. And those are the times to pay very, very close attention and be astutely aware of when you are being yourself and when you are not. So what if I was really, really willing to be myself?
So our recommendation is to write that down, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it by your bed. Ask yourself that question right before you nod off to sleep, and or when you wake up in the morning, and just see what happens.
Yeah. Your mind will be off searching and giving you answers that you never even knew were available. It's very profound. So it looks like that's our wrap up for today, yes?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I invite you to write to me at esateys@esateys.com. Give us your comments and below. Send us questions to that email address. Or if you have any questions about anything else, just let us know because we are here for you.
And we'll be looking forward to being with you next week. And again, subscribe, hit the subscribe button that you'll find at the bottom, and keep joining us and tell your friends.
Yeah. Okay.
We have so many cool things to talk about. I just can't get. We just had to cull down what we were going to say today because we had so many things we wanted to speak about. So we're so happy to be sharing it with you. And until next week, have an awesome, great, incredible week.
Yep.
Bye.